So welcome, my name is John Cottrell. This is Power Hour. This is a 60-minute power Vinyasa yoga practice. That means we're going to be flowing, we're going to be moving. So our practice is called Hip Openers 2.0. I really love doing hip openers, and there's always a good variety of ways to do hip openers, and as well as just different ways, different postures we can do for hip opening. So I put together a sequence that is going to involve hip openers with a few other things too. So maybe some extensions and some balance thrown in there too. Alrighty, so that's our practice. So this is what you'll need for your class today. Probably just a couple of yoga blocks. That's about it. Blocks just come in handy. I like using yoga blocks either just for sitting on or just some way to bring the floor a little bit closer to you for some particular poses. So that's it. A couple of yoga blocks. If you like to use any other types of props like straps or pillows, blankets, anything like that, go ahead and grab those, have those nearby. Of course, roll out your yoga mat and get some bottled water, and we're ready to begin. So I invite you to stand in mountain pose. So you'll start by standing with your feet about hip distance apart. Your toes are pointing forward here just to establish a strong connection and balance. Now, if this feels a little bit uncomfortable for you in your hips, knees, or ankles, feel free to take your feet out just a bit wider, and you might even turn your feet outward a little bit like this. This might feel a bit more comfortable. Just be sure that you are grounded, connected, and there's a sense of balance between both feet, just like that. So you just go ahead and take a few deep breaths in and out. Just getting in tune with your breath, feeling your breath, making this connection. Very nice. This is Ujjayi breathing, or victorious breath. You want to feel that energy rising up into your body. Feel it rise up into your lungs. Feel that nice expansion. Good. And when you exhale, just draw your navel inward towards your spine. This is a nice engagement here. Kind of like you're flexing your abdominal muscles a little bit. This is going to help with some of the postures that we're doing today. We've got a few balancing postures that will be in this hip opening class. Deep breaths in and out. You can just make this more mellow if you'd like, just slow, steady breaths. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like. You can even do this with your eyes opened. You might just take a soft gaze forward or even downward at the ground. Making this connection. Good. We'll take 3 more slow breaths in and out as a way to prepare your body to move. Take your time. And when you're ready to move, inhale and extend your arms overhead, or big reach, nice stretch all the way up. And exhale, we'll fold forward. So a good hinge from your hips. Bend your knees as much as you need to as you make your way down towards your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or thighs and extend your spine, creating a long flat back like a table. And exhale, we'll come back down to forward fold. Let's hold here for a few breaths. This gives us an opportunity to feel a stretch and lengthening down through your hamstrings, your lower glutes, even down into your calves a little bit. And if you're hanging heavily forward, you might feel a nice pull with the assistance of gravity drawing you downward through the crown of your head. Maybe some release in your low back. Let's hold here a little longer. Feel free to roll your shoulders, make circles with them. Maybe backward and forward. And a gentle movement in your head and neck. You might nod yes, shake your head no. And then going back to your arms, just kind of stir your arms like you're stirring a big pot of soup. And then lastly, if this feels okay, a little sway left and right with your whole upper body. Just really getting a sense of how you feel. Now, let's shift the weight back into the heels. Bend your knees. Feel like you're going to sit down. Look forward. This should re-extend your spine. Take your arms out to the side. Stand up straight, straightening your legs. Then reach up into the air with a nice full inhale, reach for the sky, then exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Let's hold here, our return to mountain pose. Let's go back to our shoulders for a moment. Some circles here, backward and forward, and again with the neck, just nodding and shaking head, just a little bit of warming up in the neck and shoulders. Very nice. Let's do that same half salute one more time. Here we go. Inhale, extend your arms all the way up. Exhale, lead with your heart, fold forward with a softness in your knees, making your way down towards your toes. Inhale, rise up halfway, full length of spine. Then exhale, fold. Let's once again just hold. You can do the same thing we did earlier with some movements of the arms, neck, shoulders, hips, or just hold in stillness. Just feel the sensation of your body in this deep forward fold, Uttanasana. If you're holding in stillness, just pay attention to your breathing. Take 2 more breaths. When you're ready to move, shift your weight back into your heels, bend your knees. As if you're sitting down, look forward, feel the straight spine. Drive your heels into the floor, straightening your legs, take your arms out, then all the way up as if you're going to reach for the ceiling. And exhale, arms back down by your side. Good. Mountain pose. A couple of deep breaths here. Very nice. Then we're going to get ready for our Sun Salutation Series A. We're just going to keep adding on to this sequence as we're warming up our bodies. Here we go. Inhale, reach all the way up, big stretch. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips with soft knees. Inhale, let's rise up halfway, feel the top of the head, lead you forward. Exhale, fold, coming all the way down so you can place your hands on the mat, allowing you to step both feet back into plank pose, a high push-up position. From here, we'll just breathe in. We're going to take a shortcut to down dog. So as you exhale, bend your knees a little, send your hips up into the air. Downward facing dog. We're in an inverted posture. We're upside down. Make some adjustments with your feet and your hands if you need to help settle in so you can hold the posture for a few more breaths. Spread out your fingers so you have a good base, your whole palm pressing strongly into the ground. Long straight arms. You might even feel sensation in your shoulders, chest, and back. With the feet, we're on our toes, unless your heels can touch the ground, but they don't have to touch the ground. You might even add some movement here by pedaling your feet. Press one heel down as the other heel lifts, so you can feel that stretch now more in the calf muscles. You might feel this in your toes. So allow your knees to bend, as if you're walking or pedaling a bicycle, and even let your hips shift side to side. Since we are going to be focusing on hips, you can pay attention to that movement. Let's take 2 more breaths, then come back to stillness. When you're ready, take a nice full breath in. With your exhale, walk, step, or jump both feet up to the top of the mat. Extend the spine, half forward fold. Exhale, back down we go. Weights in the heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, come all the way up. Reach a little higher if you're able. Exhale, arms down by your side. Pause for a moment, just take a breath. That's Series A. We're going to take it right into Series B. This is our Sun Salutation. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, take chair pose. We're actually going to hold chair for a little bit. Really extend out through the arms. You can tell the arms are out at an angle, reaching upward slightly. Hips feel like they're reaching back to the back edge of your mat. So we're in this kind of this squat-like position. This is really great for your legs. Let's breathe in. Exhale, let's dive out of the seat into forward fold. Inhale, rise up halfway or just to extend your spine. Exhale, bend your knees to plant your hands into the mat. Walk, step, or hop both feet back into plank pose. High push-up position. Take a breath in. Exhale, bend your elbows, squeeze them in towards your ribs as you lower your chest and body down towards the floor. We'll inhale, press into the floor with the hands to straighten your arms, looking forward here to open your chest. It's a back bend. Exhale onto your toes, lifting knees and then hips up into the air. Downward facing dog. Just settle in. Take a breath or two before we continue. Ready for our lunges. Inhale, extend right leg up, reaching back. Long and straight. Exhale, right foot to the top of the mat or near right hand. Turn left heel to the floor behind you. Good pressure in that back foot. We'll hinge from hips, rising up, facing forward. Reach straight up into the air. We'll exhale, hinge at the hips, folding to bring the hands back down to the floor. Step the right foot back to meet the other. Bend elbows, lower your way down. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to upward facing dog. Nice long legs. Point your toes behind you, heart forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pause for a moment to settle in, arriving in the posture. When you're ready, though, inhale, extend left leg up, reach back through your toes, long straight line. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat. Turn right foot or right heel to the floor completely. Put some weight back there. Inhale, reach forward, hinge your way up, reach into the sky, warrior one. Exhale, hinging at the hips to fold again. Hands come back down to the ground. We'll slide the left foot back. We'll complete the series. Finish the push-up. Come on down. Inhale, up dog. You can always choose cobra. Then exhale, downward facing dog. Let's pause here for a couple breaths. Once again, just settling into the pose. Hands press firmly into the mat for a good base. Strong arms. Slight bend of knees. Hips high. Deep breaths. Or we're going to go down to the ground from here. You can just kneel down to take a seat or hop forward, cross your legs to take a seat. Make sure you're sitting in the center of your mat, and then go ahead and roll down onto your back. We're going to do several things down here. But first, just lie in stillness with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor like this. Take a few breaths, really let your back body just completely relax down into the earth. Feel this connection. It's a little moment of relaxation as well. We'll first move into bridge pose, which is a back bend or a heart opener. We'll open the whole front side of the body. When you're ready, take a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage your belly, using that energy now to lift hips up into the air. You can stay just like this, but we can add on to this by getting your shoulders a little bit more underneath you. So you might need to rock your upper body left and right several times to kind of crawl or get your shoulders a little bit more underneath you, which creates a little bit more of an opening through your chest. Feet are firmly planted into the floor, pressing down to feel the lift of the thighs and hips, and then use your arms. Bend your elbows at 90 degrees, press down into the mat to help lift and open up through the chest. This is also a nice way to help stabilize the body. There's alignment, there's balance here, certainly a full engagement throughout the entire body. Deep breaths. Remember this sensation, this back bend feel, because we're going to return to it in a moment. 2 more breaths. Wiggle your toes forward a little bit. Extend your arms straight up into the air. We're just making space so we can roll our way back down to the ground. Take a moment to extend the body. Extend your legs out front. Reach your arms behind you and just reach in these opposite directions. Now let's return to that bridge pose prep where we're just lying flat, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Okay, just return here. And once again, just reconnect to the ground. We're going to add on. We're going to do one of our first hip openers right here. Keep the right foot on the ground. Pick up the left foot. You're going to cross this left ankle over right knee. Alrighty. First thing we're going to do is just get a little stretch and release in this left hip and left leg. All right, now if with the leg crossed just like this, you might feel like, oh, this is a great stretch. I like this, I'll stay here. But if you're not really feeling too much or need to add a little bit more sensation, then you may want to lift the right foot off the floor. This is eye of the needle, so take your left hand, that's your thread, and just thread the eye of the needle so you can hold on to your right shin or your right hamstrings. And then just gently draw both legs toward your chest with this leg crossed. Now I really feel this more in the left leg now compared to when my right foot was on the ground. So just adjust to the place that feels just right for you. few more breaths. So this is our initial hip opener. Some deep breaths. Let's take 2 more. We're going to add on to this. All right. Set the right foot down. Keep this left leg crossed. All right. You may need to adjust where your right foot is. You just want to make sure it's somewhat centered, okay? Centered as if it was between your hips, okay? Now, with a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage your belly, press that one foot into the floor, lift both hips up into the air. That's why we needed that foot more centered, so we have this balance. You might want to use your arms and shoulders, getting the shoulders a little bit more underneath you, arms helping you to stabilize and balance, maybe lifting a little higher. So we're in this bridge pose, but this left leg is crossed, still getting a little bit of a hip opener in the left leg. So ideally, the left knee is kind of pointing out to the left side of the room, and also ideally, your hips are aligned with one another. Just be aware, maybe place your hands on your hips to be sure one isn't lower than the other. It's more likely that your left hip is lower, so adjust. Now, one more thing, we're going to uncross that left leg, give it a little kick up towards the ceiling, bend the knee, plant the foot onto the floor, wiggle the toes forward, roll your way down. Extend the entire body. That's our floor sequence here. So we're just getting into some hip openers and adding that back bend with it. Okay, let's do the other side. So let's go to our bridge pose prep, lying flat, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And then keeping left foot planted into the mat, we'll cross right ankle over left thigh. And the knee, right knee is kind of pointing off to the right side of the room. Check in to see if this is enough sensation for your right hip opener. If not, pick up the left foot. Thread the needle with the right hand. Hold on to left shin or hamstrings. Draw in towards yourself to find that sweet spot, that sensation of, oh, okay, that feels good. I feel sensation. I feel a stretch, and it feels good. And be sure to accompany that with deep breathing. Imagine you're even sending this deep breath down into that right hip or wherever you're having sensation. All right, our initial hip opener. This is eye of the needle pose. Sometimes we might even call it reclining pigeon. All righty, 2 more breaths. After the second breath, we're setting the left foot down, keep the leg crossed. Shift the left foot so it's more centered, even between the hips, because we're going to be lifting. When you're ready, inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage your belly and lift the hips off the floor. Use your arms. Press down into the floor with your elbows and triceps. Maybe even get your shoulders a little bit underneath you. All right, now we need to find that balance. The right knee is kind of pointing out to the right side of the room. Right foot is flexed, just to keep that leg strong. Place your hands on your hips or pelvis to see and feel if your hips are aligned. Ideally, you want them to be. Just check in because your right hip might be a little lower than the other. See if you can adjust. Lift higher. Just use your left foot pressing into the floor, arms pressing into the floor. Deep breathing to help stabilize. Let's do one last thing. We're just going to kick that right leg up towards ceiling, extending the leg, then bend the knee, plant the foot onto the floor. Wiggle the toes forward, extend your arms up, roll down, then extend your body opposite directions. That's our floor work. Now hug both knees into chest. Rock forward and back gently. When you're ready with a good exhale, rock your way up to seated. We're going to get ready for boat pose. You might lean back. We're lifting the feet, flexing the feet for energy. Maybe your shins are parallel to the floor. Holding onto the backs of the knees as a way to help lift yourself up so you have a nice lengthened spine. We're leaning back, so we are at an angle. You can stay just like this. As you're establishing this good connection with breath, engaging your core muscles, you can certainly release the legs and have your hands free. Let's take a breath in, ready to move. Exhale, cross legs if you can, hands in front. Hop or step back, plank pose. Hold. Continue to feel that core energy. Feel your belly button pull up towards spine. Let's take a shortcut to down dog. Just bend your knees a little. Send your hips into the air. Down dog. Let's continue with our lunges. Inhale, extend right leg up. First, just a straight line in that right leg. Stay here. We're going to bend that right knee. Bring your heel down towards your backside, lifting the right knee up towards the ceiling. A little twist and rotation. It's a hip opener. Inhale. Exhale to unwind it and step through with your right foot. Land near right hand. Turn left heel to the floor. Plant it firmly. Inhale to float up, Warrior One. And our exhale now into Warrior Two, just like this. Nice extension of the arms. I like to take my feet a little bit wider to lunge a little bit deeper. Now, Warrior Two is a hip opener. Right knee is bent, knee is nicely stacked over heel or ankle up front here, and that stretch in the inner thigh. Opens up the hips. So we'll take a couple more breaths here. And we like to deepen this just a little bit by taking it into side angle pose. So reach forward out over the right leg, rotate the arms, right arm comes down to inner thigh, while left hand is reaching into the air. And this is where I like to go. This feels just right for me. You're welcome to go lower. So this right hand can come all the way down to the floor if you can reach, or your stacked blocks or books, whatever you might be using. A few more breaths. Then we're ready to move. We'll take an inhale and an exhale to carefully turn, bringing hands down to the floor. Let's step back into plank pose. Pause here to find realignment in the body. And another shortcut to down dog. Bend your knees, lift your hips into the air. Feel the arrival into the pose. Inhale, extend left leg up when you're ready, straight line. And then bend that left knee, bringing heel down towards backside. A simple lift of the knee up towards ceiling. It'll feel like your knee is actually pointing to the left side of the room. It opens the hip. Inhale. Exhale to unwind it and step through. Left foot to the top of the mat. Right heel plants into the floor behind you. Find that balance. Inhale, float arms up, Warrior One. Exhale, turning torso towards the right side of the room. Arms down to parallel, Warrior Two. Make some adjustments with the feet. If you like, maybe taking a deeper lunge. Nice extension and energy out through the arms. This is the initial hip opener in the Warrior Two position, so feel that lengthening sensation in your left inner thigh. Taking it a little deeper by going to side angle. Reach forward, rotate your arms. Left arm coming down to the inside of this left leg while right arm reaches into the air. It's a nice opening for the front side of the body as well. Remember, you can go much lower if you'd like to. I like to stay up a little higher. That feels just right for me. Let's breathe in. The exhale to carefully turn to face the floor. Bend, fold, bring the hands down to the mat. Step back, plank pose. Hold for alignment. And then if you'd like, Chaturanga Dandasana, bending the elbows to come down. Inhale to up dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Hold for a moment. When you're ready to move, a nice full breath in. Your exhale to help you walk, step, or hop both feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, extending spine. And your fold. Weights in the heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, come up to standing. Reach up nice and high, big stretch. Exhale, arms down by your side. Very nice. Good. So that was a lot of floor work. So a lot of things going on down there. We did bridge pose, we did that hip opener, eye of the needle, and we just added on to a little bit. We kind of kept the leg crossed, lifted the hips back into that bridge pose, opening up through the hips some more, and then extending the leg. All right, let's get into some balance. We're going to go into tree pose first. Let me first adjust my mat, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so standing nice and tall, mountain pose, feeling balanced on 2 feet. All right, you're going to start shifting your weight into your right foot. I might be mirroring you here. So right foot pressed strongly into the floor. Stand nice and tall. Inhale. Feel the breath rising to fill up your lungs. And exhale to engage your belly. When you feel that sensation of connection, float left foot up, lifting the knee. Maybe thigh comes to parallel. Flex the foot just to keep the leg strong. And then just swing the knee out to the side. And this is the hip opener. I like that transition because that's the hip release as it opens out to the side. Hips remain square, facing forward as that knee swings open, okay? Placing foot on the inside of the standing leg. When you're ready, we'll inhale and take the arms up into the sky. Really reach upward so you get the lift of the torso and even some stretch and lengthening down through the sides of the body. Let's hold here. Deep breaths, so balance work here. All right, keep the foot where it is, but bring your arms down out to the side and then to your hips. Swing the left knee forward, lifting knee, flexing the foot, thigh to parallel. And then we're going to kick that left foot forward. It doesn't have to lift high. It's just extending. I'm flexing the foot, pushing through the heel. Just a straight leg, that's all. And then slowly lower that foot down to the ground, balancing on 2 feet. You can release your hands down by your side. Okay, so let me just show you just sideways. So my leg was like at that angle. You don't have to lift it any higher than that. Okay, because what we want to do is see if we can stay up nice and tall through the torso. Sometimes when we take the leg out like that, we lean back. So in order to keep that alignment, we can keep the leg lower so we can really feel tall through the upper body. Imagine you're flush up against a wall behind you. Okay, let's get ready for the other side. So balancing on 2 feet. And then start shifting weight into your left foot, press into the floor. Inhale, feel tall, breath rising, fill up your lungs. Exhale to engage the belly, ready for balance. Floating right foot up, thigh comes up to parallel. Flex the foot for energy. Okay, hips stay square, swing the knee out to the side. That's the hip opener action right there. Then placing foot on the inside of the leg, moving into tree pose. Inhale, let's sweep the arms out and up into the sky. Exhale, hold the posture. Take several breaths. Remember to focus on something out in front of you that's not moving. That too will help you with your balance and stability. Keep breathing strong. We're going to get ready for that leg extension. Just a little bit more balance work. So just bring the arms down slowly out to the side and then to your hips. There should be square or relatively square there. We're turning right knee forward, lifting knee so thigh is parallel to the ground. Flexed foot, so you can just kick that leg forward, pushing through the heel. Remember that leg can be low. Be aware if you're leaning back. If that's the case, lower the leg so you can be nice and tall, flush against your imaginary wall. And then slowly bring this right foot down to the floor, balanced on 2 feet, arms down by your side, mountain pose. Take a couple of breaths here as you come back to balance. All right, let's go through a flow. Let's get the body in motion here. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, take chair pose. Weight is shifting back into the hips and heels. Arms are extending out front. Breathe in. And our exhale to dive forward. Forward fold. Inhale, rise up halfway, extended spine. Exhale, bending your knees to bring hands to the mat. Let's step both feet back into plank pose. Finish the push-up if you'd like, coming down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Let's just keep the body in motion. When you're ready, inhale, extend right leg up, bend the knee, heel down towards backside, lifting the knee. The knee will point out to the right side of the room for the hip opener. When you exhale, unwind it, step through, right foot to the top of the mat, left heel plants into the floor. Inhale, rise up, warrior one, and our exhale to warrior two. Settling in. Right away, side angle, reach out, rotate the arms. Right hand down, left hand up into the air. Breathing in, still moving. Exhale, turn, hands to the floor. Let's step back. Plank pose with the right foot lifted, just like this. Plank, right foot lifted, but the right foot isn't lifting very high. We're going to take this into another pose. We're going to take this to pigeon. So you're going to bring this right knee in Land it down behind the right wrist. Angle the leg. Kind of swivel and let the left foot kind of point out to the left side of the room at an angle. Okay? So plank to pigeon. Set the left knee onto the floor behind you. Use your left knee and toes to crawl that leg back. It shifts you back so you kind of sit and settle into your hips. That's where we get the hip opening sensation. We'll take a breath in just to fill up the lungs. Look forward. Exhale, crawl forward, using the hands to move forward and downward. Take your time with this to check in to see if this feels right for you. Now, an alternative, of course, if this doesn't feel quite right for your right knee or hip or ankle, roll onto your back and do that reclining pigeon pose again, just as we did earlier in the practice. Use that as an alternative. Now, I talked about having leg extensions. We already did one of them. After tree pose, I had you extend the leg. Well, here we are doing another leg extension. We just happen to be on the ground. So pigeon pose, most affected is the right leg for the hip opener. But the left leg is, of course, extended out behind you. And getting some stretch and extension, lengthening through the left hip flexor. Okay, we're going to rise up. Hands in front initially, but as you can, bring your hands by your side, propped up onto your fingertips here, using that as a way to push down into the floor, straightening your arms to lift upper body, like so, into our second version of pigeon pose. We use the hands and the replacement of hands for good leverage to lift up. Notice there's a straight line from my shoulders down to my wrists. That way I can really lift up nice and tall. It's like upward facing dog. Breathe in. When you exhale, take a seat, but sit off to the right side. Just literally sit off to the right side. Enough where you can bring the left leg around to the front here and come to cobbler's pose or bound angle. That's both feet, soles of the feet, together here. If you can, scoop up your toes with the hands or just hold on to your ankles or shins. Sit up as tall as can be. Lengthen spine. Inhale. And exhale, hinge forward just a little bit. This is another hip opener. But this also may affect your back a little bit, which is nice because we just came out of a back bend, right? That second version of pigeon pose is a back bend. So we can hinge forward, even round your back a little bit, just to get a little counter pose in the spine, especially in the lumbar. That's the low back area. Take 3 more breaths. After your third breath, we're just rising up until you're tall in your seat, but then just keep leaning back. We're going to boat pose. So as you lean back, you can bring the knees together, lift your feet, hold onto the legs if you need to. Make sure the spine is nice and long at this angle. We're going to move right away, breathing in. Exhale, cross legs, hands in front, hop or step back, plank pose. Come down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog, another back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, we're still flowing. Let's do the other side. Inhale, extend left leg up, bend and twist open. Heel comes down, knee lifts, opens up the hips. On the next exhale, unwind it and step through. Back to warrior one, plant that heel down behind you. Feel balance before rising up. Then exhale, open it to a warrior two. Arriving. Then our side angle pose. Reach forward, rotate the arms. Left hand down, right hand up. Nice extension here, top to bottom. Breathe in. Exhale, turn, hands to the floor, step back. Plank pose, left foot lifted, just like this. You can see my left foot is barely a couple of inches off the ground. Hold. Pigeon, so the left knee comes in, land it behind the left wrist, a little swing of that leg, okay? So the left foot and left set of toes are pointing towards the right side of the room. Use the right knee, bringing it down to the floor. Crawl back using right knee and toes until you settle into the hips. And then when you're ready, inhale some breath up into the lungs. Exhale, crawl forward. Just step your hands forward, lowering the body as it feels good to you. Once again, check in with these sensations. If you need to change this, You can certainly modify the pose. You don't have to go all the way down. You can change the angle of this left leg. And don't forget, you can go into the flip side. Go onto your back, cross the leg for the reclining pigeon variation. Several breaths here so you can get into the sensation of the left hip opener and that leg extension behind you, getting into the hip flexor. We'll feel more of that left hip flexor when we get into the second version of pigeon. Take 2 more breaths. When you're ready, slowly crawl back up onto the hands. They'll be in front at the moment. Then bring them by your side, getting that leverage set up here. So we can push down to lift up, straight arms, shoulders stacked over wrist, heart forward. Feel this back bend. You can always lean forward a little bit if you need to get out of that back bend sensation. But with that right leg extending back behind us, we get that hip flexor. That's in the front portion of the hip. All right, go ahead and soften, sit off to the left side. Enough so you can bring the right leg around to the front. Cobbler's pose. You might have to reposition your seat here. Cobbler's pose or bound angle. Hold soles of the feet touch. Scoop up the toes. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale. And exhale, hinge forward or fold forward. Now the back can remain very straight, but if you want to get that nice counter sensation after being in that pigeon pose back bend, then round your spine, even lower your chin a little bit. Remember to feel this, or perhaps feel this in the inner thighs for the hip opener. All right, 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, let's rise back up to a well-extended spine. And then continue to lean back. As you lean back, let's bring the knees together, lifting the feet. Boat pose. Let's hold here a little bit longer. You can certainly hold on to the legs. That will help you to lift and really keep the upper body well extended. Don't forget your breathing. Breathe in to fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage your core muscles. Let's get ready to move. We'll breathe in. And then the exhale, cross legs, hands in front, hop or step back, plank pose. Bend elbows, lower your way down, chaturanga. You can take a low cobra or up dog. I'm taking low cobra right here. Then exhale, downward facing dog. Arrive in the pose. Hold here for a second. Ready to move. Full breath in. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, walk, step, or jump. Both feet to the top of the mat. Inhale to extend your spine. And fold. Weights in the heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Come up to standing, reach very high. And exhale, arms down by your side. All right, we need to add one more component. We're going to do chair pose. We've already practiced chair pose a couple of times, but we're going to do what I call a cross-legged chair pose to really get into the hip. It's going to resemble the posture that we did lying down, that eye of the needle pose or reclining pigeon, okay? This is how we'll get into the pose. I'm going to face you and try to mirror you. Let's start by standing balanced. Put a little softness in the knees. Okay? And then start shifting weight into your right foot. Place your hands on your hips. Push pelvis down with the hands. Nice extension of spine. Core engaged, because we're going to be balancing, so we want our core engagement. Weight is over on the right side. We're picking up the left foot, flexing the foot, thigh parallel to the floor. Flexed foot. Okay, hands on hips. And then a little soccer ball kick. Just kick the soccer ball with the foot, keep the angled leg, and you're going to cross that ankle over thigh right there. Then you may want to sit. Imagine you're sitting back behind you into a chair. All right, spine is still straight, but I'm just kind of leaning forward. Let me turn sideways so you can kind of see this. So left leg crossed over right, hips moving back, heart forward for the balance. The hands are on hips actually as a way to remind you that hips are aligned. That's something that we did in that bridge pose when the leg was crossed. We had to work a little harder to maintain that alignment in the hips. Stay here in cross-legged chair pose, that's what I'm calling it, and then take the arms out and up like we were in chair. We're going to add on to this. Here we're standing up, uncross the leg, lift the knee, flexed foot, keep reaching high, extend left leg, pushing through the heel. So that's the balance and the extension. Then slowly bring foot down next to the other, arms down by your side, and that's our series there. So we're moving into that cross-legged chair pose, get deep into it, turning it into a leg extension. Let's do the other side. Softness in the knees, hands on hips, pushing pelvis down, feel tall. Start shifting weight into left foot, root. Nice strong connection there. And when you feel ready, lifting right foot into the thighs parallel to the floor, flexed foot. Kick the soccer ball, cross ankle over thigh, and then send hips back. I'm going to turn sideways again. Okay, so right ankle crossed over left thigh, sitting back with the hips into the imaginary chair. That just means you're bending the left knee a little bit more. Heart's coming forward so the spine stays straight. Check in with your hips. Hands on hips will help you to assess if the hips are aligned. Even flex this right foot that's crossed. That'll just keep that, helps the leg remain stable. Then as you're able, extending the arms out as if you are in chair pose. Lots of balancing. It's okay if you lose your balance or you need to step out. That's okay. Stand up tall, reaching high, uncross the leg, lift the knee, flexed foot, thigh is parallel to the ground. Reach higher for that good extension of torso, and then extend the right leg by pushing through the heel. It does not have to be parallel to the floor. And then set the foot down slowly and bring arms down by your side, back to mountain pose. Breathing in and out. Little circle of the shoulders here. Alrighty, so we're going to do that again, but our transition from the leg extension, let me just show you. The leg extension, the arms will be up, leg will be forward. We're going to bend the knee again, and then bend, in this case, bend my right knee, that's the leg I'm standing on, bend the right knee, hinge forward, reaching out with my arms, extending left foot back, hold for a quick balance, so more balance in leg extensions, setting the toes down behind us, we'll be in a high lunge, and we'll open it to a warrior two and continue with the sequence there. Okay, so that's what we've got. So let's come back up to mountain pose, but feel free to get a sip of water first before we go through that series. I'm just adjusting my mat, and then just join me here. We'll start in stillness, taking a deep breath in and out. Now we're going to start with tree pose. Tree pose to cross-legged chair pose to high lunge. Here we go. Start shifting weight into your right foot. Inhale, feel length in the spine, core engaged as you exhale. Float left foot up. Swing knee out to the side, that's the hip opener. Placing foot on the inside of the standing leg. Arms up into the air with an inhale. Exhale, core connection, tree pose. Stabilize the posture. We're going to keep arms up for a second. Then bring the arms down by your side and onto your hips. Turn left knee forward. Lifting knee, flexed foot. Be sure the right knee is soft. Bend it a little bit. Kick the soccer ball with the left foot. Cross ankle over thigh. Sit back with the hips, heart forward. Cross-legged chair pose. Once you feel stable here, hips are aligned. Take arms out in front. Your gaze can be downward since you're at this angle. We're going to stand up, uncross the leg. Lift the knee, flexed foot, thighs parallel. Bend the right knee a little bit. As you know, we need to extend. Extend the right leg, pushing through the heel. There's our extension. Bend the knee again. Bend the right knee. Hinge forward upper body. Extending left leg back. See if you can balance here for a second at this angle. And then set the toes down behind you. High lunge. Open warrior two. That's a lot of work on that front leg, isn't it? Side angle. Reach forward. Rotate the arms. Right hand down. Left hand up. Inhale here. Exhale, turn, hands to the floor, step back. Plank pose, right foot lifted, here. Pigeon, right knee, right right knee, right wrist. Angle the left leg, right leg, sorry about that. Left knee comes down to the floor, crawl it back for that leg extension. We're not going to go down, we're going to stay up. Hands by your side, push down to lift up, straight arms, open chest. See if you can hold for a couple breaths here. Release, sit off to the right side. Bring left leg around to the front. Sit centered on your mat. But you're going to carefully roll down onto your back. So you might just round your spine, roll back, bring the knees with you, and then set both feet onto the floor. Keep right foot grounded. Cross left ankle over right thigh. Remember this? Make sure the right foot is centered here so we can take a breath in. Exhale, engaging core, lifting hips into the sky. Lift, use your arms, get shoulders underneath you a little bit. That requires some rocking and rolling a little bit to get underneath and hold. Deep breaths. You want to feel like your hips are trying to lift as high as they can. Really opening up in the hips with this cross-legged position. Then uncross the left leg, extending left leg in the air. So if you can hold that a little bit longer. Both legs are really squeezing in towards center. It's a lot of work for both legs. Cross ankle over thigh once again. Take a seat. Come down. And then thread the needle. Okay, so you can pick up the right foot, draw the legs towards each other, holding on to the right shin or hamstring with both hands. About 3 breaths. Do you feel this in the left leg? It's a different sensation because in the little back bend version, we get the front side, but in this variation, we kind of feel the back side. Does that make sense? Do you feel that? All right, let's set the right foot down. Uncross the leg. Come to a neutral lying down position with knees bent, feet flat on the ground, just to neutralize and realign. Ready for boat. Bring knees in. Whenever you're ready, a good exhale, rock your way up to boat pose. If you can extend the legs, just an option. Breathe in. Exhale, cross legs, hands in front. Hop or step back, plank pose, both feet on the ground. Come down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. That's our sequence. Take a breath in. Exhale, walk, step, or hop, both feet to the top of the mat. Inhale to extend your spine with a fold. Weights in the heels, bent knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Come up to standing, reach high. Exhale, arms down by your side. Pause for a moment, and let's get ready for the other side. It starts with tree pose. Shifting weight into left foot. Long spine, inhale. Exhale, core engaged. Float right foot up. Flexing foot, thigh parallel to the floor. Hip opener, swinging knee out to the side, placing foot on the inside of your standing leg. Let's inhale to extend the arms up into the air. Reach, hold. Deep breaths. Nice balancing posture and hip opener. Focused and balanced. Let's bring the arms down by your side. Bring hands to hips. Hips should be aligned here, mostly. Swing right knee forward. Lifting knee, flexed foot. Kick the soccer ball. Bend the left knee to make a little shelf so you can cross that ankle over thigh. Sit back. Sit back into the imaginary chair as your heart comes forward. Your focus will be slightly downward. Flex this right foot. Hands are still on hips just to maintain that alignment. But when you're ready, extend the arms out. Then we're standing, uncrossing the leg, lifting knee, flexed foot, get very tall. Extend that leg, pressing through the right heel. Bend the right knee again. Bend the left knee a little. Start to hinge forward once again as your right leg extends back. Really straight as can be at this angled position. And then set right set of toes down behind you, high lunge. Opening warrior 2. Right away, side angle. Reach forward, tip it over, left hand down, right hand up. Breathe in, reach, exhale, turn, hands to the floor. Step back, plank pose, left foot lifted, hold, so we're in plank, left foot lifted, taking us to pigeon. Bring left knee to left wrist with an angled leg, right knee comes down. Use right knee and toes to shift the weight back, sitting in your center. Let's reposition the hands by side. Push into the floor to lift, straighten arms. Look forward for your pigeon pose back bend variation. 2 more breaths. Soften it up. Take a seat off to the left side. Swing the legs around to the front. Make sure you're sitting in the center. Roll down onto your back. Bring knees with you. Plant both feet into the floor. Align. Left foot stays grounded. Let's pick up the right foot, cross right ankle over left thigh. Reposition left foot so it's centered, ready for our lift. Breathe in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage belly, energize body, lift hips. Hopefully we're lifting the hips at the same time so they're aligned. Check in to see if your right hip is lower than the left. Use your hands if you need to. That right hand can just reach underneath and just lift that right side so it's aligned with the other. Or get both shoulders underneath you, squeezing shoulder blades together, pressing arms down into the floor to lift you a little higher, maybe hips a little higher, more of that sensation of release. This is the front body doing its work. So that right leg is crossed, right hip flexor, hip, outer hip a little bit. Now let's extend that right leg up, maybe pushing through the heel, reaching for the ceiling. That left leg is still working strong. You might be sinking towards the floor. That's okay. See if you can lift up a little higher. Okay, we're going to recross that right ankle. Now come down, hips to the floor. Thread the needle. This is where we change the sensation. All right, as you hug both legs in towards self, maybe holding onto left shin. Notice the change in sensation in your right leg. Outer hip. I feel this in the outer hip and kind of the upper glute area. Actually, lower glute, upper hamstring area. That's where I sense this. Both feet are flexed. It's just a way of keeping the body energized and active. All right, let's set the left foot down. Uncross the leg, plant both feet. Relaxed in a nice alignment here. Hug both knees into chest. Some circles. Let's circle the legs to get into the low back and hips. You might even want to circle the feet since we did some balancing. So you want to kind of massage the ankle bones, even wiggle your toes a little bit. You might flex the feet, point your toes just to get into those joints. Let's take happy baby pose. Take the legs outward, left and right, and then feet up towards ceiling, grabbing hold of the bottoms of the feet, like so, pressing downward gently so the knees feel like they're coming down towards the floor on either side of you. Just a few breaths here. We're not going to hold here too long. You might feel that the low back can kind of press down into the floor. It's actually a way of kind of lengthening the spine in this pose as the hips open. Let's take 2 more breaths and we'll take another version of a hip opener in a moment. From here, place the soles of the feet together and then set the feet onto the floor for a reclining cobbler's pose or reclining bound angle pose. Certainly much more relaxed. As you're lying down, feet are touching, knees bent, pointing out to the sides of the room. And with this opening, that release in the inner thighs. Let's just relax into that. Nice deep breathing. Let's go ahead and take 3 more breaths. When you're ready to bring the knees together, give yourself another hug. We're going to take a quick twist to both sides. We'll start by taking the knees over to the left side. Extend your right arm off to the right side. Maybe just 3, maybe 5 breaths. Nice deep cleansing breath just to get into this rotation in the spine. It's also going to help the low back and hips. So this was our Hip Openers 2.0 practice. So very different as far as our flow was concerned. Familiar poses perhaps, but just a different way of getting into them. And then when you're ready, come back up to center. Pause here for a moment for the realignment. And then taking knees over to the other side. And when you're ready, coming back up to center, pausing for a second, and then extending the legs out in front onto the floor. Arms can rest down by your side, relaxing completely into Shavasana. Let everything relax. Start with your feet. Feel how the feet just fall open naturally. The legs will follow your hips. This is a natural hip opener. Letting everything just sink into the ground. Feel free to close your eyes or keep your eyes open and just gaze softly upward. Notice your breathing. Feel completely relaxed here. Very dynamic flow for our hip openers today. So an opportunity to rest. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Even as I end the practice, you don't have to sit up right away. You can stay right here if it feels best for you at this moment. When it is time to move, start with breath. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. And as you're breathing slowly, feel movement return to your body. Subtle movement. After your 5th breath and you're ready to move, take your time, slowly roll onto either side of your body, just moving into a nurturing pose, lying on either side for a few breaths. And then when it's time to move, still moving very slowly, guide your way up to seated, finding a comfortable seat. You might sit up on a pillow or blanket. And your legs are crossed. Sitting up nice and tall. Nice relaxed shoulders, arms relaxed down by your side, hands in your lap. Take another deep breath. And we'll finish with one more movement. Let's inhale, extend the arms up into the air, reaching high. And exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Hold here, deep breathing. And as we come to the close of this portion of our journey together, we bow saying, Namaste.